Welcome back once again to CBSE Board Economics. We continue with the market forms. We have already seen in detail the features of perfect competition. Today we'll be discussing another extreme form of markets. This market form is a very important part of microeconomics. This will help you for CBSE students, for ISC, ICSC, or if you're appearing for BCom, BA, any degree examination, or even when you go for competitive examinations. Follow. Today we discuss about monopoly market form. This is another extreme form of market. What exactly is monopoly? Mono means single, poly means seller. So you got it. A monopoly market where has a single seller of a commodity. A monopoly market is dominated by one single seller. Mono means single, poly means seller. There is a single seller. So the difference between industry and the firm disappears under monopoly market, because under industry you have many firms. So here industry and firm one and the same thing. Since the monopolist is single seller in the market, he can regulate the supply of his product and charge any price he likes. He can charge a very high price. The consumers have no choice but to buy from him. That's why the monopolist can get abnormal or supernormal profits all the time, both in the short and long run. Let's discuss about the features of monopoly market. Maybe this is an extreme form of market form. Real monopoly does not exist in the real world. To some extent, you find in the books and all it is written that railways have monopoly market. But still, I don't agree with that, because railways have many substitutes. So let's see the features of monopoly. The first feature you have is a single seller, which we just discussed. When there is a single seller, he can charge any price he likes it, and the difference between industry and the firm disappears, because industry consists of a single firm, and he can regulate the supply of the product and charge any price he likes it. That is single seller of a commodity. There may be many buyers, but there is just single seller of the commodity. Look at the second point, no close substitutes of the commodity available. No close substitutes. If there are many substitutes, then that's not monopoly then. No close substitutes. That's the only unique product. You buy it or leave it. That's it. That's a no close substitutes available for the product. The first point is single seller. The second point is no close substitutes available for the monopoly product or the commodity produced by the monopolist. The third point, difficult entry of new firms. Why there is a difficult entry of new firms? Why there is just one single seller? Why more firms won't come into the industry? There's a reason behind it. Number one, maybe the government has given license to only a particular firm to produce the commodity, so it has monopoly. For example, in Delhi, we have BSES. BS is the only firm that provides electricity in Delhi, so they have monopoly in it. Or the government must have given you patent right. What is a patent right? Patent right is given to a firm when they discover a new product, new technology, or anything new discovery. So normally it is given for 10-15 years. Till that time, only that firm can produce the commodity. No other firm can copy those products. That means that firm will have monopoly for 10-15 years. That's called patent right. The time period, maybe 10-15 years, that's called patent life. So the first point, the government licensing. The second point, patent right. The third point may be copyright. Only the particular firm has copyright, patent rights. but the firm must have discovered new thing. Because of that, the monopoly element is there. So that is difficult entry of new firms. That's why other firms can't enter into the industry. Government licensing. So we have one more, like in the world, OPEC, OPEC, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. OPEC, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, right? They all join hands together, 5-6 countries which supply petrol, crude petrol, petroleum products and all. So they have monopoly in it. So the whole entire world has to buy from them the crude oil. So they have monopoly in that. That is OPEC. Okay, this is difficult. First is single seller, no close substitutes of the commodity, difficult entry of new firms because of government licensing or patent rights or discoveries. The fourth point, you have price discrimination. What exactly is price discrimination? When you are the only producer in the market, you can charge different prices from different consumers. The consumers are higher priced, but they have to buy it from you. What exactly this means? Okay, we'll take the practical in Delhi. They are charging, BSES charges one price for domestic use and one price for commercial use and another price for agricultural use, the electricity. So maybe for agriculture, very less they charge you per unit, for domestic use less, for commercial use they charge a huge price. But customers have to pay it. That is price discrimination. Only in monopoly price discrimination is adopted. Charging different prices from different consumers or different prices with different slabs of electricity, I told you. And the next point you have, see the shape of the demand curve. Mind it one thing, even if the monopolist is a single seller, but he cannot charge any price he likes it. If he is selling at a very high price, the consumer may not buy it. So always, even the monopolist always tries to reduce the price to sell more quantity. Hence, the demand curve of the monopolist firm is also downward sloping. Showing the inverse price and quantity demanded. So if the monopolist reduces the price, more people can buy. Now what is the shape of the elasticity demand? But it is relatively inelastic, not elastic, because there are no close substitutes. Even if the price he slightly reduces it, not that people leave other brands and come to this. That's why it's relatively inelastic. That's why it's a steeper curve. Look at the graph here, demand curve. Look at this one. This is the x-axis. We've got quantity demanded, y-axis you got the price. DD is the demand curve. This is a steeper curve, relatively inelastic because of non-availability of substitutes. The 6-point TR and MR curves, see, if the monopolist wants to sell more, he has to reduce the price. So AR falls down, when AR falls, MR also falls, but the fall in MR is much steeper, hence MR curve is below. Just remember, AR and MR curves both decline under monopoly. And the 7th point you have, a monopolist is a price maker. Obviously, when you are the only seller, obviously you are a price maker. You don't take it from anywhere else. Like under perfect competition, the firm is a price taker. Under monopoly, he is a price maker. And the last point you have, no advertising and selling cost. Under monopoly is a unique product, so you don't have to spend money on advertising or selling cost. People automatically buy unless you are introducing a new product in the market. Otherwise, there is no advertising or selling cost under monopoly market. So this is about monopoly market, and we'll be reading in detail. So get these points. So what you have, what exactly is a monopoly, define monopoly and describe its main features. Mono means one and poly means seller. Thus, the term monopoly refers to that market situation where there is a single firm selling the commodity. There are no close substitutes of the commodity. Entry by a new firm in the monopoly market is very difficult or restricted or impossible. As a result, a monopoly is more or less free to charge any price by regulating the supply of the commodity. The monopoly firm itself is an industry. Let's see the features of monopoly market. The first one, single seller. Under monopoly, there is only one producer or firm of a commodity in the market, so the distinction between industry and the firm disappears. The firm itself is industry and has full control over the supply of the product. Number 2, no close substitutes of the commodity. The product or service sold by the monopolist has no close substitutes. It's a unique product. And number 3, difficult entry of a new firm. It's very difficult for a new firm to enter the monopoly market because of government licensing, patent rights, or cartels. The government gives license only to one firm to produce a product or service. That firm will have monopoly. For example, in Delhi, the Delhi government has given license to only BSES for transmission of electricity. Government also gives patent rights to a firm for new technology or new products. Other firms can't copy this technology or product during the patent life. That's a period. Hence, that firm will have monopoly. Sometimes 2 or 3 firms join together to fix their output and price and act as monopoly. This is called a cartel. For example, OPEC, OPEC, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, is a cartel, biggest cartel in the world that has monopoly in the world market for oil. The 4th point, price discrimination. Under monopoly, uniform price does not prevail. Monopolist can adopt price discrimination, charging different prices from different consumers or in different markets from different consumers or in different markets for the same product. A monopolist can charge a higher price from rich consumers and a lower price from poor consumers. For example, in Delhi, BSES charges different rates for use of electricity for domestic use, commercial use, or agriculture use. It also charges different rates for different slabs, high rates for higher consumption and low rates for low consumption, because BSES has monopoly in electricity transmission in Delhi. And the 5th point, demand curve under monopoly. The demand curve, AR curve facing a monopolist is negatively sloped. That's downward sloping, because if the firm wants to sell more, it has to reduce the price. In the figure, you can see here the monopolist can sell OQ more quantity at OP price. If he wants to sell more, he has to reduce the price. That's why the demand curve is negatively sloped or sloping downwards. And why? Because there are no non-availability of close substitutes. ER and MR curves under monopoly. Under monopoly, both ER and MR curves fall, because if the firm wants to sell more, it has to reduce the price. The ER demand curve is steeper curve because of it is non-availability relatively inelastic. When ER falls, MR also falls at a steeper rate, hence marginal revenue curve is below ER curve. And the next point, a monopoly firm is a price taker and not a price maker. A monopolist does not incur advertising or selling costs. He incurs these only when a new product is launched in the market. That's about monopoly, the important features. Please copy these points in your notebook and try to learn. They might ask you small questions like, a monopolist is a price maker or a price taker. Obviously, he's a price maker. Are there any close substitutes under monopoly? No, there are no close substitutes available. Is there any advertising or selling cost? No. What is the shape of the demand curve? Under monopoly, it's negatively sloped, sloping downwards, because if he wants to sell more, he has to reduce the price. They can ask you, what is the elasticity of demand under monopoly? Elastic demand is relatively inelastic because of non-availability of substitutes. They can also ask you, what is the shape of AR and MR curves? AR and MR curves are sloping downwards, because if the firm wants to sell more, it has to reduce the price. Hence AR falls. When AR falls, MR also falls, but the fall in MR is much steeper, hence MR curve is below AR curve. I can ask you why there is a single sell, why no new firms are attracted. Even though they are getting an abnormal profit, because of government licensing, because of patent rights, because of copyrights, because of cartel. What exactly is a cartel? When 2-3 firms join together to decide their output and price, that's why we call the cartel. The biggest cartel in the world is OPEC, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. That's all we have time for this video. Till we meet next time, it's goodbye from Saddam Hussein. Before I leave you, don't forget to share, subscribe, like, and comment on our videos. Keep watching them. Thank you guys. Goodbye.